to this message as our menu options have changed. Dispatch.
Yeah, who's speaking?
Dispatcher sheet.
Yeah, so maybe you can help me understand something. Is it because it's me complaining, or is it because you guys don't know the law that you guys don't follow the law?
In reference to what?
Well, my complaints, or anything I complain about. It seems like anything I complain about, I get no satisfaction. You guys play games and make excuses, but apparently if other people complain, you guys move mountains and make up false reports. I'm just curious why. I mean, is it just because it's me, or do you guys really not know the law? I'm just trying to understand. You still there? Hello? Yeah, typical. Quota hires can't do a simple job. All I can do is play games. Hello? Yep, apparently they can't figure out how to use their phones either.
Please listen to this message as our menu option.
Sorry,
Captain Phipps.
is not available. Record your message at the...
Please listen.
That's what happens when you have incompetent people working at the police department.
Sorry,
Captain Phipps.
is not available. Record your message at the tone.
Nope, because I don't leave voicemails for idiots and never call back.
Please listen to this message as our menu options have changed.
So now they just hang up on me. So this is what public servants do that are corrupt and have no accountability. They just play games.
Please listen to this message as our menu options have changed. Thank you.
Hello, it's Patrolman Downey.
Yeah, so Patrolman, maybe you can explain to me, is it because I complain about crimes being committed that you guys don't do your job, or is it because you guys don't know the law? I'm trying to understand this, and nobody can explain this to me, apparently.
Yeah, man, I'm not sure, dude.
Well, you answered the phone. I mean, do you guys know the law? Are you guys aware that there is laws that tell you guys how to do your job? And this is a serious question, by the way.
Yeah. But if I say yes, you're gonna say no. So, but yes, I do know the law. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Well, I have reported at this point probably well over 1,000 times this nuisance noise from these local area businesses trespassing my property. And according to Ohio Revised Code 3767, the multiple trespasses constitutes a nuisance. And according to Ohio Revised Code 3767, it authorizes you guys to investigate my complaints, and then whomever is designated by the public servants here in Zanesville to address the matter. According to Ohio Revised Code 3767, it explains it's usually typically either the police chief, the public safety director, or the law director that's supposed to file paperwork in the courts in lieu of my complaints and your guys' investigations into the complaints, corroborating the complaints. And then they're supposed to file paperwork in the court, file an injunction against these businesses, the operators, to get them to either completely mitigate their production noise at night or cease and desist all production at nighttime.
Okay.
Now, that's what the law states. And I've tried to iterate this to public servants multiple times at many different levels, not just police department, but law director's office.
I've talked to you before.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I've complained about this. It's almost nearly a nightly occurrence that I can't get any rest or relaxation. I can't enjoy my property because of this noise. It's so overwhelming and so invasive on my property that it prevents me from being able to enjoy it. That is, in fact, trespassing. It doesn't have to be a physical man or woman come on my property to be considered trespass. It can also be materials or noise, according to the actual legal definition. So,
Okay.
and I guess it's the confusion of not understanding why public servants here in Zanesville are ignoring the law. And the only thing I can surmise based on the actions of public servants here in Zanesville is that it's because it's me complaining, and I'm not originally from here, and so it seems like people here...
You're not?
Not originally, no.
I mean, no, I had no idea about that, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I've only talked to you, I think, twice, but no, I never knew that.
Yeah, no, I'm not originally from here. My family is. My grandfather grew up on Chapman Avenue. That's why I decided to move out here.
Okay, yeah, I do remember you. I think you told me that when I was up there one time.
But I mean, regardless of all that, it doesn't matter, because the last time I checked, there's a thing called the Constitution that covers all of the United States. And no matter where I go, I have God-given rights that are secured by that Constitution that tell the public servants what my rights are and what they aren't, and what they can and can't do. And that's typically what the law does. It gives you guys boundaries, and also tells you guys what to do, how to do your job. But for some reason here in this situation, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, let me ask you this first: to your knowledge, has any of the public servants in the city of Zanesville or Zanesville, Ohio, has anyone filed any paperwork in the court against these companies that are making all this noise?
It's above my pay grade, man. I have no idea about that. I'm just a midnight shift officer.
Yeah. Well, the ones that are above your pay grade apparently are, either cowards, tyrants, bigots, or all of the above. Or I don't know. I mean, I can speculate all I want, but if they're not going to do their job according to the law, they're going to ignore it. And there's this game that's being played where I'm forced to talk to you all, but you all can't do anything or don't know anything, or you're limited, or your pay grade isn't high enough, or whatever the situation might be. It still leads to the same outcome. Nothing gets accomplished. The law still gets ignored. The harm is still being caused. The hazardous condition is still being allowed or condoned by public servants here that are not supposed to be doing this.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like right now, since I'm talking to you, what would you like me to do? Right now, what would you like me to do?
Well, what you all are supposed to do, it's not what I would like you to do, it's what the law requires you to do. When I call and complain, whether it's right now, it doesn't matter what time it is, when I call and complain about noise, whether it's whoever's on duty, it's you all's responsibility, it's your responsibility to investigate the complaint. So if I call in and say, for example, just hypothetically, because I'm not sure who's making the noise right now. I don't know if it's the operators at the stave company or the casting solutions, or possibly another business out there that's not identified yet. So, but hypothetically, let's say it's the stave company. So if I call and say, the stave company business over here, the operators are making so much noise that it's disrupting my property and preventing me from being able to enjoy it, it's trespassing my property. Let's just put it that way, make it simple. What you guys are supposed to do is go to that location. According to the law, it states that you guys are supposed to go to the closest point within the city limits to that location to observe it. Now, you guys are allowed to go into the county to investigate. So, for example, even Sergeant Patnoff said that he went to the stave company at one point and sat in the parking lot and listened to the production noise. He actually heard it.
Right.
But he didn't bother doing a report. He didn't bother saying anything. He didn't bother passing it on. He just kind of threw his hands up in the air and said, well, I don't know what to do, and left it at that. That was months ago. So what you guys are supposed to do is investigate the complaint. So if I call and say it's a stave company, you guys investigate the stave company, write it a report, pass that report on to your higher-ups, and then whomever is designated within the public servants of Zanesville to address the matter at the court, whether it be the law director or the public safety director or the police chief. Basically, you guys' reports would go to them. They would use those reports in conjunction with my complaints, and then that would give them the legal standing to file the paperwork and to file the injunction.
Have you talked to other people?
I've talked to everybody, man.
Okay.
I mean, look,
a lot of I know what you're saying. I know what the law says about us going out investigating and everything. And if you said that Sergeant Patton, did go out there, I'm not sure if he did or not.
I got it recorded. I got his voice saying it. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, and I've been up there. I've been up to your house before, and I've listened up there and talked to you and everything. Every time that you call, every time that we speak to you or anything, it all goes into our system.
Well, right, but if it doesn't, let me just interject. If it doesn't go into your system correctly, because there's been multiple times where you officers have come up to my property to supposedly hear this noise, but then reported there was no noise. But I have recordings contradicting your reports, showing that there is noise. I've got video and audio from my property and from the source locations.
Yeah, Brandon, I was up there, I forget, I think it was last year, and I told you I heard noise, but it was the interstate that I was hearing.
No, there is no freeway noise here. Or highway noise, whatever you want to call it. I already talked to ODOT. ODOT confirmed that there is no highway noise. That's why when these businesses stop their production, it is serenely quiet here.
Right.
There is no highway noise. There is some street traffic noise. Occasionally you hear a vehicle, revving its engine up, or going at a stoplight and they go to take off and they got a loud exhaust or something like that. Occasionally you hear that. Occasionally you hear a Jake brake because I don't know if there's no signs here. I mean, typically in the inner cities, there's supposed to be no Jake brake signs, but constantly hear I constantly hear the Jake brakes. That's not what bothers me. I've lived around highways before. I've lived around freeways before. I've lived around traffic before. What I'm hearing is not traffic noise. This is production noise. This is industrial equipment that's running at high RPM. The roar from their equipment is what I'm hearing. It's not traffic.
Right. Have you talked to them, the two companies that you're saying the noise is coming from?
I've tried to.
If you have talked to them.
Yeah, I've tried to. I've tried to contact the operators. I've contacted the parent companies. I've emailed. I've written letters. They don't care.
Okay. Have they responded to you?
No.
Or they just ignore you?
They ignore me. I had one response, and they basically said that they're in the county and they're not held to any noise, what do they call it? I can't remember the term. Noise limitations or something like that.
Okay.
But that's incorrect. I mean, technically in the county, yes, but once their noise encroaches the city limits and then encroaches my property limits and onto my property and affects me, that's trespassing. And that's what they fail to understand. See, let me give you another example. I've been dealing with another situation out here with these vultures. I don't know if you've been in the neighborhood and seen all these vultures around here on Wheeler and White Oak.
Yeah, I've been up there. Yeah, I've seen them.
I got these neighbors out here that don't properly can their trash, and so what they do is, like, for example, our trash day is Friday. One of my neighbors put their trash out on Thursday morning. They put 6 bags, just plain plastic bags, out on the edge of the road or on the easement. Left it out there for 2 days, and sure enough, it attracted the vultures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've called sanitation, I've called code enforcement, I've talked to, at this point, everybody I possibly can about it. I'm not going to bother talking to you guys about it because, I can't even get help with this noise situation. What are you guys going to do about, neighbors littering? So, no one's bothered to do anything. So I started recording. I got recordings and pictures of the vultures at the trash and so forth. And then I was out there yesterday morning and I was recording the vultures going through their trash. And lo and behold, I had a sanitation worker drive up in a City of Zanesville truck. Excuse me. It was a man, I think his name was Donnie, works for sanitation. So I had a conversation with him about the vultures, and he was like, well, why haven't you called about it? And I'm like, are you serious, man? I've called multiple times. I've called multiple departments or offices, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And he acted completely oblivious. And I'm like, wait a minute, I even made a complaint to sanitation. I talked to the woman that works in the office of sanitation. I think her name's Kathy, or one of them, and filed a complaint. And somebody even actually supposedly, allegedly, issued a citation. I was told that by, I think, code enforcement. They said that they've got a citation that was issued, but I never confirmed it 100%. But so they cited the property owner, supposedly, but then the very next week, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation or in this dissertation, that just the other day, the same property owner put their bags of trash out to attract the vultures. Now it's creating a safety hazard, a safety concern. These vultures are vicious, and
I live out in the sticks, and I got some vultures out there too.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's common sense. If you leave trash out, it's going to attract the vultures. They're looking for an easy meal.
Yeah, usually mine with roadkill and everything, and I've about hit them on the way to work and everything like that. So I understand. Trust me, I get it with the vultures.
But there's a difference between them being in the roadway and being in your property. I've walked out my side door right here, the sliding glass door facing north on my property, and literally I've stepped inches away from 30 to 40 vultures right here on my property. It's almost terrifying. There are so many. It's a little overwhelming. And so I've had to resort to making loud noises from my upstairs and double checking to see if they're even out there before I go out, because I don't want them to attack my dog or any of the animals.
Right.
So, and the reason why I bring this up is it's creating a safety concern. And when I complain about it, what I constantly get told by code enforcement, at least when I was complaining about it, they would say, well, we can't do anything about the vultures. I'm like, but you're ignoring the point that the vultures wouldn't be here if the trash wasn't there. And if the trash wasn't there and the vultures didn't go through the trash, then the trash wouldn't blow everywhere all over the neighborhood and be considered littering. But for some reason, we want to ignore these infractions or law violations or whatever you want to call them or consider them or classify them.
Well, I mean, you said the one guy, your neighbor, got cited, correct?
That's what I was told. I never confirmed that.
Who told you that?
Code enforcement. I think it was John Benson.
Okay. Well, I mean, have you tried to reach out to him after? I mean, because maybe they did cite him, and if they did cite him and they continue to do it, I mean, it comes down to the point where, if they're citing them, that's the only thing they can do is just keep citing them. I mean, until they learn, put their trash in a garbage can or, put it out right before trash day.
Right. Well, I get what you're saying, but here's the point I'm trying to make. When I call to just get clarification on that, to make sure that somebody's doing their job, that somebody's following through, because it's a continuous problem. It's not getting fixed. So when I look at that from that standpoint, when I call and say, hey, is anybody doing anything about this? And I get, hey, we can't do anything about the vultures. It makes it frustrating for me because either I'm talking to complete idiots or people that are just playing games, because clearly you guys legally can't do anything about the vultures. But to ignore the improper trash canning and the littering being caused by the improper trash canning and the vultures tearing through the garbage bags, those are violations that should be paid attention to. But for some reason, when I mention the situation, the public servants latch on to the idea that they can't do anything about it because they can't do anything about the vultures. It's like they quickly find the easiest excuse to just shirk off responsibility and say, we can't do anything about it. Instead of saying, you know what, those people shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be leaving their trash out. They shouldn't be attracting the vultures. And when the vultures go through the trash, it causes litter problems because their trash blows throughout the whole neighborhood. All up and down the street onto my property. I mean, I could complain about that too. I mean, hell, I can start taking these people to court. But, I mean, it just doesn't seem like the rule of law is very, what's the word? Adherable, if that's the right word to use here. It just seems like, from my opinion, and don't take this the wrong way, it just seems like from my perspective that I'm dealing with a bunch of bigots that don't want to do the right thing because either it's me and I'm not from here originally, or people just don't like me because maybe my personality or my attitude or whatever, I don't know. I can keep guessing and speculating, but it just doesn't make any sense. And it only... Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that's a thing I can't answer. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't think anybody's playing games because I'm not on the high level. I'm just a little patrolman on night shift, but I mean, this isn't fun for you, and I don't think it's fun for everybody else, the constant back and forth and everything. So, I mean, I can't answer that for you. I have no clue, what the reason is or what's going on, honestly.
Right. Well, but at some point, somebody should be adult enough to identify that there's an issue, there's a breakdown in communication. For some reason, the police officers aren't doing their duty, and I'm being forced to suffer, and then my frustration and the suffering and constantly filing complaints that are going unanswered is being basically weaponized against me. So I don't
know about the weaponized against you. I have no idea about that.
Well, when I get frustrated because you guys don't do your job according to the law, and I got to continue to suffer, and it's extremely frustrating, and you guys take my frustration out of context and then file fraudulent reports with the court and create false warrants and such things like that for my arrest and applying codes and statutes to men and women, that's fraud. Because codes and statutes don't apply to men and women. Codes and statutes apply only to corporations, companies, businesses, people doing business. For example, let me give you another example. The driver's license. You know, technically, you're not allowed to pull me over while I'm traveling.
The traveling? Yeah, I've heard of this.
It's absolutely true, and it's been upheld by the Supreme Court. See, there's a trick, and the only reason I have plates on my truck, the only reason I carry a driver's license is because I don't want guns pointed in my face because I don't have it on my truck or I'm not carrying it. It's a safety thing.
Right.
But if you guys knew the truth and operated within the truth, you guys would realize that your codes and statutes and regulations only apply to companies and corporations, people that are doing business, and not everyday people that are just traveling from point A to point B need to be harassed in this manner and required to have all these documents and so on and so forth. This is extremely draconian. But again, the only reason I do it is it's a safety factor. If I felt confident that I could travel and not be harassed and intimidated or assaulted or have my life taken for that matter, because I'm not complying with ridiculous standards that don't apply to me. Well, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I mean, you kind of get what I'm going at. So it's not a matter of in that situation, it's not a matter of doing the right thing. It's a matter of what you can get away with, because imposing codes and statutes on people, forcing people to accept the whole driver's license construct, that's technically fraud. And and by doing that as a patrolman, if I don't know if that's a part of your job, but if it is, I mean, just take this into consideration. You are responsible for your own actions. So if you trick these people, that karma is going to be on you, man. If you're not being honest with these people, if you're taking advantage of their ignorance, I mean, that has huge consequences in long term when it comes to like karmic backlash.
What are you talking about? Like for like if pulling people over, or like them enforcing the like traffic laws, like the license plates and stuff like that?
Well, all the above. Unless somebody hurts somebody, unless somebody causes an accident or hits somebody with a car or actually causes an injury to someone else, there is no crime. And technically, you guys aren't allowed to use your lights and sirens to just pull people over. Those are only supposed to be used for emergency purposes. And someone committing a traffic infraction is not an emergency. But see, you guys haven't been taught properly. This is the problem. And maybe it's the law director's responsibility that he hasn't passed down the correct like definitions and what's the word? Like explanations of the law.
Well, I guess here's my question: Where can I find that? For what you're talking about right now, where can I research that?
As far as like the driver's license?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the traveling and all this stuff. Like, I've seen YouTube videos here and there, and I've watched a couple, and, I've been on Reddit before, and a couple groups on there, they talk about stuff, but, I mean, is there anything anywhere else I could look?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's one, this is probably the best video I've come across so far, and it is on YouTube. But the channel is called, what's that?
I said, hold on, let me get my notes out on my phone.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Or, well, I guess I could just go to YouTube. That'd be easier. All right, I'm ready.
All right, it's called ITS, space Paul, Paul, space Unslaved, Unslaved.
Okay.
And when you search that, that's the name of his channel. So when
is he wearing a goat mask in his
I think so. It's like sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. When you get to his channel, if you scroll to the very bottom of his videos, there's one. He got pulled over for having no license plates, no insurance, no license, no registration.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch that video, he explains to the cops the situation. He gives them the definitions, and they let him go because they understood the law.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, I got police stop, no license, registration, insurance, or tags, right to travel, and it cuts off the rest of the title, though.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's that one. There's a couple other video presentations he's done there, some interviews. I mean, it's good information. He's a younger guy. Some people have a hard time with that kind of stuff. He kind of acts a little ghetto, for lack of better terms. But it's good information. It's good, solid information, and it's I guess, for lack of better terms, a scientific experiment that now he's proven. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to watch it now. I don't like to watch the videos when the guys are, they're, as long as they're calm, cool, collective, and explaining everything, he's not being a complete, pardon my language, an asshole, right?
No. He's calm, cool, calm, and
Right,
collected.
just making sure.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
a lot like I was in the very beginning, for the first roughly year of dealing with all this noise stuff.
Right.
Trying to explain the situation and trying to cooperate. Like, I don't know if you came out in the first, within that first year or so, and I would talk with you guys outside and we'd listen to the noise. And at that time, just to interject real fast, at that time I had no idea what I was dealing with. Now, just to give you an idea real fast, not only am I dealing with these businesses like the Stave Company and Casting Solutions and these other few businesses that are making this extreme amount of noise at night, but I found out through a noise assessment that AEP, the electric company, made some changes to the power lines back in July of 2018. And
Okay.
when they did that, just to be specific, it's the lines right here on White Oak Avenue, parallel to my property. Now, when they made those changes, it caused the power lines or the equipment, I'm not sure which, it might be a transformer, they didn't specify, but it's causing the power lines, the service lines, to transmit or emit a low frequency humming noise that I'm hearing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is what I originally thought was coming from possibly the wastewater treatment plant, because of the nature that it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And before I considered it being the wastewater treatment plant, I talked to AEP Ohio. They said they sent technicians out to check their equipment, and they said it was not coming from their equipment. They lied to me. I found out last year in 2020, let's see, I think it was in, I believe March. I think it was in March, but don't quote me on that, when they did the noise assessment, and they identified that there is low frequency noise coming from the power lines.
Now, who did that? You
No.
did it on your own?
No, well, I've done it on my own too, but AEP sent technicians out through a PUCO complaint, the Public Utility Commission of Ohio. I did an informal complaint through the PUCO. They forced AEP to come out and do a noise assessment. According to their noise assessment, I've got levels of low frequency noise upwards of 50 decibels across my property, which I don't know if you know about sound and decibels, but that's pretty high.
No, to be honest with you, I really don't know. I don't know much about that. Now, are they fixing it, or
No,
they just said they're not fixing it?
they've refused. They don't even consider it a problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know why. Probably because it doesn't affect their ability to make money. It just affects me and my ability to enjoy my property. Funny how that works. But yeah, so I included that in my lawsuit because, interestingly enough, when I go back to the beginning, none of this between myself and public servants of Zanesville here, none of these experiences would have happened if AEP Ohio wouldn't have made the changes that they did. Or if they wouldn't have made the changes, we wouldn't be here today because having this conversation, because of the fact that when they made those changes, not only did it cause this low frequency noise to start being emitted that I'm hearing 24/7, but I noticed that it's progressively made the local area businesses, their production noise, it's caused that production noise to be louder. Excuse me.
And you've tried to talk to them, and I take it they won't talk to you like I'm talking to you right now?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I've got it recorded, and I submitted it to the court. They were manipulating my calls. When I would call to make a complaint to let them know that it's still going on, they would route my calls out of state to a sister company, and I think it was in Virginia. So I couldn't even talk to a customer service rep to file a complaint about it.
And have you tried any more, or I take it they just do the same thing and they won't fix it, or well, you said they lied to you the back in, what was it, 2018?
Yeah, no, I didn't have that recorded. I just called them and talked to a customer service
Okay,
rep.
I get what you're saying. So they basically said that it wasn't, and then you filed whatever the paperwork you needed to, and then the I forget what the company, the name you
PUCO.
said, they came out, tested, and said yes, there is low frequency coming from the wires,
Right.
and then they basically ignored you.
Exactly, and I included that in my lawsuit that I filed with the county, or in the county court, the Court of Common Pleas, because throughout the course of this whole situation, I've 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I deal with this low frequency noise, and it the sound that it makes, it's very mechanical sounding. It blends extremely well with the other industrial noise that I hear, and so for that first excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. For that first year or so, I was confused. I thought that it was all coming from these local area businesses, and after AEB telling me that it wasn't coming from their equipment, I was like, okay, they checked their stuff out. Let me grab some dinner. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Tickle in my throat. So, no, what was I?
Where did it go? So now you separate yourself from basically the government, and you change your name, and you're free from taxes and stuff like that.
No, I mean there is people that talk about that stuff too. It's not necessary to go that far into it. I mean, people they can renounce their citizenship and all that kind of stuff.
I was just curious because I was looking through some of the stuff and doing some research on my phone here, and I just seen that it popped in my eye.
Yeah, no, I mean we don't have to do anything like legally or specifically to have these rights. These rights are inherent. These rights are God given, and what I mean by that is like the right to travel.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I'm just it's early. I'm a little sleep deprived, so I'm having a hard time getting my thinking of these words. But anyways, yeah. So these rights are God given, and they're secured by the Constitution. See, the Constitution doesn't give us our rights. It only secures, it validates, it verifies what our rights are that are given to us by God, that are inherent, and we don't have to do anything special to have these rights. And see, what's been going on for decades now is actually the opposite of what the truth is. Because with the whole driver's license construct and forcing people to fall under a different jurisdiction as if everybody's conducting business when they're not. If I'm just in my private vehicle traveling from point A to point B and I'm not working for somebody, if I'm not employed by somebody, I don't fall under that driver's license construct. It's as simple as that. I don't have to do anything special for that. I have to have public servants acknowledge and know that, so that they don't put me in a situation that I'm that could jeopardize my safety.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken some class on. I mean, not saying you're a sovereign citizen, but I've taken some classes and done some research just on sovereign citizens, and I know what you're talking about. It's not as extreme as some of them, the groups are and everything, but I do kind of understand and know what you're saying to a point, but it's not as extreme.
Right. But to be honest with you, these people that go to those extremes, they wouldn't have to do that if the public servants of whichever city they're in would actually recognize the law, know the law, and operate according to it, instead of inappropriately putting codes and statutes on men and women, and maybe it is just a thing that just really a majority of people don't know what the truth is, and maybe maybe that's what it is. Maybe ignorance is just extremely rampant these days, and that's
me and you can agree on that.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, it's amazing with all this technology and all the access to information, and people are stupider than ever.
Yeah, the world is something right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I could talk about this 100 different ways. Bottom line is that
Right.
I just want you guys to follow the law, and it gets frustrating for me when I feel like I'm being toyed with, or I feel like I'm dealing with, let me put it this way: it's very reminiscent of being the new kid at a new school in grade school when I moved around with my mom a lot.
Right, and to be honest with you, Brandon, it's frustrating for like me as a patrolman too. That when you do call in, when you're having these issues, and then dispatch, they can't help out, and then it comes, then I'm talking to you and maybe trying to help out, but unfortunately there's I know what you say, to follow the law, and I need to do the law, but when the process, me as a midnight shift patrolman, unfortunately, there's not much I can do.
Well, yes and no.
And I
Just let me interject real quick. Not directly. I mean, I get what you're saying. You're limited on what you can do directly with the situation. However, you do have duties and obligations and responsibilities, having the position that you are as a public servant. And with that being said, if the hose isn't flowing, if there's a clog in the hose somewhere, it doesn't matter how much of the hose is flowing. If there's a clog and it's not coming out the other end, it's useless. We need to figure out where the clog is and clear it. So, with that being said, using that analogy, it's your responsibility and duty that if the hose isn't flowing, you need to identify where it's not flowing and report that to the proper authorities. Now, according to, the best of my knowledge, you would have to report it to the special agent in charge of the FBI out of Cincinnati. They would have jurisdiction over the matter because Ohio's a home rule state with all this legal stuff. That's to the best of my knowledge. That's the best I've been able to.
And to be honest with you, Brand, I'm not sure about that. But if that is the case, that'd be me jumping chain of command, and that's. You were in the military. Me jumping chain of command would get me hemmed up, and there's our policies and procedures, their process and everything, and so well, I'm talking to you,
Right, but hold on a second. You mentioned I served the military. You're right. There's an exception. If I'm given an immoral order, I don't have to follow that order. Or if my chain of command isn't doing their duty, I have an obligation to jump the chain of command or go to the IG or to whomever. Right. Now, you guys don't have internal affairs. To the best of my knowledge, you guys don't have any committees or departments that oversee the police department. So I don't know who you would take that complaint to, but it would have to be somebody outside the city because the city isn't capable of policing itself. And the bottom line is, anyways, accountability is paramount, and no matter what situation, whether it's kids or teenagers or adults, when people are expected to police themselves, 9.5 times out of 10, things go wrong because people aren't capable of doing that. They need oversight. We need oversight. We need leadership to direct. And if the leadership isn't doing their job and their duties, then you guys at the lower levels have a responsibility to report this malfeasance to whomever. And that you guys should know who you can report these things to. And I think a lot of it is just fear of, being called a snitch or whatever. But let's be honest with ourselves. We're not talking about petty differences of opinion. We're talking about following the law or not following the law. We're talking about violating people's God-given rights and not violating people's God-given rights. That's a bit more serious than just a difference of opinion.
Right.
So, and that's why I say this. Now, like I said, to the best of my knowledge, you and whomever else is noticing these problems would have to report this to the special agent in charge of the FBI out of Cincinnati. I believe it's Chris Hoffman. But you might want to do some digging and see if you can find if maybe there are departments within the state, maybe the was like the police union, maybe they have some resources that can help. I don't know, but what I do know is that what's going on is not right. It's unlawful. The multiple attacks that I've experienced by police officers because of my complaints, the fraudulent reports. I mean, going all the way back to December 2018 when I was charged back then for reducing panic. That was all based on a fraudulent report from Captain Phipps. It was, anyways. That was all based on fraud. I've got the proof and evidence of that. August of 2019, Lieutenant Rice and some other officers lied to the VA and mischaracterized my state of mind and the facts, and were able to create a fraudulent, what they call pink slip or involuntary writ for psychiatric evaluation or psychological evaluation. That was based in fraud. I've got the evidence to prove that. I was kidnapped and human trafficked and everything else. This is all because I've complained about this noise. And then fast forward to just last July, I had a phone malfunction, and it started auto dialing you guys, and of course that was all taken out of context and created and turned into a charge, multiple charges, multiple court cases, and multiple arrests, all because I'm trying to get you guys to do your job according to the law. But for some reason we can't follow the law. But we can commit fraud and use fraudulent affidavits and fraudulent documents and fraudulent reports to manipulate the court to create false warrants. And I mean, for crying out loud, Detective Porter, this asshat, excuse my French, I called and left him a voicemail trying to explain to him and convey to him a concept that if the people here aren't bothered by this noise and they don't complain about it, they don't set the standard for hearing for the country. If they're not bothered, if they've grown up around this and it doesn't bother them, then it doesn't mean they have normal hearing and I have extra sensitive hearing. It means that they have less than normal hearing, and I more than likely have normal hearing. And so I tried to convey this to him, and of course I was expressing myself. I was a little frustrated. Well, he took all this out of context. He took it as telecommunications harassment, even though it was only one phone call, one voicemail that I left. Created a charge out of it, used a false affidavit to manipulate the court to create the false warrant, which he then executed himself. He showed up at my property by himself. He parked in the street. He marched across my property straight to me in my garage and assaulted me and arrested me, threatened to shoot and tase me. He basically enacted his own personal vendetta against me with no backup, with no witnesses. And
yeah, I'm not aware of that. I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah, that just happened back in July. That's why I had to file my lawsuit, because you guys, I mean, not you, but you guys as a whole, the police department seems to be ramping up their efforts to try to harass and intimidate me, or whatever this campaign is that's been going on, instead of following the law and paying attention to the problems, the crimes that are being committed, these trespasses. I've been forced to deal with these unlawful legal matters because I've got detectives and police officers trying to impose codes and regulations on me, a man, that they don't apply to. And unless I hurt somebody, unless there's an injured party, there is no crime. And so, and this is what's also led to my frustration, because not only am I being constantly tortured by this noise from the power lines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then almost every night I got the noise from either the stave company or Casting Solutions, or both, or whatever other. There's a couple other companies out there that are making noises at night, but I haven't identified them yet. But the frustration of dealing with all of that on top of dealing with public servants that don't want to do their job according to the law, on top of dealing with the attacks, the terroristic nature that I've had to deal with at the hands of police officers at my private property, all because I've complained about noise that's trespassing my property.
Right.
That's led to my
Yeah, man,
frustration. Go ahead.
No, I understand you're frustrated. I know. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know how to help you. I mean, I wish I had the answer for you.
Well, I have
really
the answer.
do,
I've explained it to you.
No, and you have. But I mean, as far as like me fixing it, I mean, I can't.
Right. No, yeah, you're not a magician. I get it.
Right.
However, you do have powers and abilities and responsibilities, obligations, and duties that require you to perform certain actions. And if you are witnessing these actions and you're now being informed of these actions, you have responsibilities to report this malfeasance to the proper agency or proper authority. And as I stated, the best of my knowledge, that authority would be the special agent in charge of the FBI out of the Cincinnati office.
Okay.
So you might look into that. There may be a way you can become a confidential informant to pass on information. Look, I'm not looking to just get people in trouble. I want you all to follow the law because that's what the Constitution requires. You guys derive your authority from the Constitution. That's it. If the Constitution wasn't there, you wouldn't have your authority. So, with that being said, you guys need to adhere to those laws and understand the difference between legal and lawful, and operate accordingly. I'm just here to set the record straight. That's all. So, I'm not trying to be combative. I don't hate you guys. I dislike a couple people. I'll be honest with you. Their personalities are garbage. But if, not to make excuses, but if I wouldn't have dealt with what I've dealt with for the almost 3 years now that I've been dealing with it, I would probably be a lot happier of a person.
Right. No, I get it, man. It's frustrating with everything you're going through and on. And we've been talking for a while, and I hate to cut you off, but I got to go get gas in my cruiser because it's about time for me to go home, man.
Yeah, no, you're good. I appreciate the conversation. I wish we could have more conversations like this. I know you guys are busy, but this is what's required for us to make progress. And if you think about this and if you have any questions, if you want to have a conversation further in your free time or what have you, feel free to give me a call. Maybe.
And what's your YouTube? Because I got that YouTube, the one that you just told me about. And don't you have one?
Yeah, it's called Exhibited Meat.
Exhibited Meat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out too.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff on there. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, when you get a chance, definitely check it out. It's all free access. I don't get compensated for any of the views or nothing like that. So.
Okay. All right, Brandon. Well, I'm off here and get gas and head home. All right.
All right, good deal. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Patrolman Downing.
What's your first name?
WNING. Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate the conversation. Listen, take care of yourself. You owe it to yourself to know the truth and let the truth set you free.
Yes, sir. Hey, you try to have a good day, all right?
You too. Take care. God bless you. Bye.